Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. That's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter.com/zip.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard. We're live downtown Vegas. Circa Resort and Casino is the spot. Fun 3-hour program lined up today. Really strong guests as always. In 30 minutes, professional sports bettor Paul Bovey joins the program. He's had season tickets to the Knicks since the 80s. How is he going to operate with those tickets? How is he going to bet them in the next round, depending on the matchup? Jeff Sherman, longtime Vegas odds maker on the show, will hit NBA, PGA, NFL schedule with him. Dave Ross here at VSiN, fight weekend. Rousey Carano among them. We'll get his best bets on that. And John Anthony, this is going to be a lot of fun. Trading card market right now with Wemby. He's also very good, like betting rookies of the year in Major League Baseball. Talk about that, Paulie. So we have the games on the board tonight. We have Major League Baseball. We got the schedule release. We got the PGA Championship. How the hell are you feeling?
Good. It's too bad the hockey game sucked. That was unfortunate. But 2 game 6s and the NFL schedule release was interesting. And a lot of good stuff. I think the Tennessee Titans won. They did an excellent job. Hey, you, Myles Garrett? Hey, buddy.
It was very creative. I must admit, I caught some of Money Moves on the way in with JVT and Stormy when they were talking about this. JVT said it is jumped the shark. I could not agree more. For the most part, these teams with the videos, yes.
They did a good job.
They are creative, but it's like, am I really going to sit there and spend my entire Thursday night watching 32 different release videos?
That's much. But the Falcons did a good job.
The Chargers take the cake every single year.
Chargers did a good job. Went after Rossini and Vrabel. That was good. The only team to do that as well. Get a load of this. Mike North, who makes the schedule. Rest disparity is not a thing. You do not have a competitive advantage when you're coming off your bye. You don't have a competitive advantage when you have 3 days more of rest. If the data suggests that, we'll adjust. What? Warren Sharp's been all over this. I mean, that's crazy. And because of what he said, that's also how they made the schedule. Chargers, -24.
Yeah.
Rest disadvantage. Second worst since 2000. Bears +16. Second largest since 1999. 40% of the schedule, there's a rest advantage. Most in history.
Yeah, it's going to keep being like that as we have the more standalone games, as we play games now on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
69 games, 3 days rest advantage or more. Most in history.
Do we want that person in charge of making the schedules? When he has that opinion?
No. How about this one? Because for the first time since 2011, there are 5 teams that don't have a prime time or standalone game.
I can't believe that.
He goes, well, you don't draft your way into prime time. We don't do that. Okay. It is the Las Vegas Raiders, and they have a huge global brand. Why are the Giants in prime time every year, and they've had one good year in 10 years?
That's exactly right. You can't...
The Raiders are livid. I don't blame them.
Oh, no, neither do I. By the way, I must say the analogy to me, for a guy like that in charge of making the schedule, to make that comment is like you go to the gym and you get a trainer, and they come out and they're 43 pounds overweight. You want to take advice from this person? I think not. Okay? So for the Raiders, and look, like in the history of this show, been on the air for like 9 years now, I am like 90% anti-Raiders. And that means just like I think they're going to be terrible, usually. Last year I thought they were going to be a bet-on team. They were not. They were bad yet again. But for the most part, I usually tend to bet their season totals to the under. I personally think it's a better league when the Raiders are good, but I am far from waving the pom-poms here in Las Vegas for this team. They got absolutely bent over last night with the first overall pick, a stadium that is still somewhat kind of new, a city that gave the owner $750 million so he could move here, and that team with that following's not in prime time. That's a disaster by the NFL.
Horrible job.
How do you do that? First pick.
Yeah, they are livid. I don't blame them.
They got every right to be pissed.
They couldn't believe it. And the other thing, too, the two best teams in the league last year that played two unbelievable games meet in Week 16 and Week 18. Week 18, it might not mean anything. That's Seattle and the Rams. Pittsburgh and Baltimore, a great rivalry. The games are always close. Week 15 and Week 18.
What do you think about that, Paulie?
Terrible job. I don't understand why that's horrendous by Mike North in the league doing that.
Especially with the Seahawks and the Rams.
Yes,
it doesn't matter which teams, but twice in 3 weeks, we've been saying that forever now, or as long as they've been doing this. There's no reason to do that. In fact, you need to look at the schedule every single year and say, well, hold on, that's a glitch. We need to take care of that and make sure that does not happen. Mm-hmm. I would point this out. And Warren Sharp, again, as you said, he was with us on this show and every other show pretty much throughout the entire football season, specifically on the Sunday morning show that we did last year. Very good when it comes to the observations. So how about the Chiefs getting that big of a favor from the league?
Yeah.
Where we don't even know if Mahomes is going to be ready to go. They have the easiest schedule over the first month of the season. And the team that they open up with, oh, by the way, their quarterback got hurt as well, Bo Nix. The most difficult schedule to begin the year. At KC, Jacksonville, the Chargers, at San Francisco, at the Chargers, Seahawks. I don't know if I have that right. I think I maybe wrote down one of the wrong teams there because I don't think they get the Chargers twice like that, but that's my bad. But it's very difficult. And so my betting takeaway is this, not that I was going to be super high in the Broncos anyway this year, but you need to wait if you want to bet this team to make the playoffs, win the division, maybe even adjusted win total until probably after that Seahawks game in Week 6.
I echo the sentiments of a lot of media and fans as well. What makes the league think that we want to watch this many Denver Broncos games? They're not exactly exciting either.
I'll throw Pittsburgh in there as well.
Oh, they're in trouble. That's where the league could be in trouble. That's the number one team about why are they on so many primetime games and late in the season when they could be out of it. And they better pray that Rodgers decides to join them as well.
Yeah.
But with Tomlin gone and a tough schedule and that brutal stretch to close the season, that could be the one team where it's, oh, God, these guys again. What a swing and miss by the league.
How about the Cleveland Browns? Again, I guess maybe, you could put the tinfoil hat on and say, yeah, they're clearly helping out a team like the Chiefs with that schedule to begin and Mahomes off the injury. The Cleveland Browns play 6 of their first 9 games on the road. How about that? Now, that's to begin the season, that seems completely unfair. I guess the one thing that they could have going for them then is that if they're actually going to be decent, and who the hell knows what the quarterback play is going to look like this year, if they're maybe in the mix middle of the season and they can survive that gauntlet, that means that they're going to get a ton. The schedule is going to be backloaded for home games in bad weather, you would think. And that could, in theory, only favor that team then under that scenario. The Packers are the only team to play 2 Thursday night games, a Wednesday game, and on Christmas Day. And this is a good tweet from Jimmy Kemsky. After the Philadelphia Eagles return from London Week 5,
this is good. They
will not board a flight again as a team until Thanksgiving when they take on the Cowboys in Week 12. They'll go to DC, but they don't take a plane to that. So that's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
A 7-week stretch where you're not on one flight.
I like all the standalone games, and the league said the fans vote with their remote, and that every single place that has that televised games increased ratings, and ratings went up 10%, so they're going to continue to do this. The one problem they're going to run into is there are several weeks where you only have 3 late games.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where Scott Hansen was ticked off, but that's where the league continues to make a mistake, where they don't have to do that. And if you get a blowout, injury, bad game, whatever, you're stuck with one game in that window, and that makes it a bad viewing experience for everyone.
How long have you been saying this, Paulie, about the red zone? Again, in theory, that is one of the greatest inventions of all time. But so many things are going against it. One of which is the thing that you just detailed. When you have, and by the way, as of right now, we have 7 weeks with 3 late games. The schedules have not been finalized for the exact times for like the final month of the season. So 7 weeks with 3 late games. One of them will be the national TV game, so that's going to get the most run. And if none of them are competitive, like what's the purpose of watching Red Zone? Or another one, what's the purpose nowadays of buying the NFL ticket when you have to have so many different outlets to watch the games? And if they're only going to have 3 late, well then why would I buy that product when I can go somewhere maybe and watch like 4 games at the same time early, and then I'll have no problems doing that at the house as well with the 3 late. I don't know.
Are you stronger on the Lions now that we've seen the schedule?
Well,
Win total 10.5. They do go to Minnesota week 15, Chicago week 17, and Green Bay week 18.
yeah, they're the 7th team since realignment in 2002 to play 3 road divisional games in the final 4 weeks of the season. That's a new one. Yeah. But also, the outdoor games, there's only those 2 late like that, but he's going to be playing in domes so many times again this year, much like the 2024 season when they won 15 games. So I'm as strong and as firm as on the lines as I have been the entire offseason now that we're here.
That week 1 game against the Saints, that total moved 2.5 points.
I don't blame. Yeah,
that jumped up. And with Denver, you meant it's both LA teams they play.
Yeah, okay.
That is a gauntlet the first 6 weeks.
There you go. Yeah, Rams. Yes. There you go. I will say and I haven't had a chance to like break down every single game, every single team, but the Monday night schedule is straight fire this year. On paper, again, it probably won't result like this. Teams are going to be better than you think, worse than you think all the time. But they did a really good job giving us matchups as of right now, offseason leading into the year, like a schedule to really get excited about on Monday nights. So, anything?
I think it's all good. I looked at the Thursday night, the Sunday night, and the Monday night. I think it's fantastic. I think there's all good matchups here on paper.
All right, let's follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Up next, we'll give you an update on the PGA Championship round number 2. And I don't know where this ranks from last night, but if you told me it's top 10 all time, I would not argue. That's coming up next.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We'll get some NBA perspective here from a longtime professional sports bettor, but also a longtime season ticket holder for the New York Knicks. Goes all the way back to the 80s. Friend of the show and the network, Paul Bovey, joins the program now here on the Progressive Guest Line. Mr. Bovey, thanks for the time today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to see you guys. It's been a while. It's been since the Super Bowl. So we got a lot to cover here.
No doubt. How are you feeling right now about the Knicks based on either getting the Cavaliers or the Pistons in the next round?
I'm going to feel great if the Cavaliers win tonight. We have advantages against Cleveland, notably home court, and we just match up better. I'm not confident against the Pistons. We barely squeaked by that series last year. The games were decided by 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 6, and 11. And the 11-point game was the first playoff game that Detroit had gotten into for quite some time. And, you know, you remember that Hardaway shot last year. That was a foul. Guthrie missed it. It would have put the Pistons over the top in all likelihood if Hardaway hits 2 out of 3. And then the Knicks are on their heels, backs against the wall, 3-2. And you never know what happens when you're playing with pressure. This year, Detroit has outscored them by, get this, 84 points. So I want no part of Detroit. I want Cleveland, home court, and the Cavs, 5th from the bottom, defending the three-point line. Detroit is number 1 regular season. So I want Cleveland, and I think they'll wrap it up tonight. And Adam Silver should be on his knees because the finals that they want, and it will be an easier path, certainly for the Knicks. They want OKC and they want New York.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they haven't made it since 1999. We just saw this play out with how Knick fans took over Philly, and a lot of people lost respect for Philly sports fans. Everyone has a price. I can't imagine what those tickets are going for if the Knicks make the finals and they play either the Spurs or the Thunder. Would you decide to go, or would you decide to take a big payday and sell your season tickets?
You know, I'm just going to answer you this way. It's not as important for me to be there just because I saw some great basketball in the 90s. And more important is for the Knicks to prevail and win it. So will I go? Yes. Game 6, I believe, is June 13th. I'll make it my business to be in New York. Assuming it's Game 3, Game 4, I don't know if I'll be here. Where I'll be right now, as I told you guys, I'm in Toronto. I should be in New York for a period of time. But if I'm there, I'm there. If I'm not, I'm not. But either way, I'm going to take it all in and root for the Knicks.
Yeah. Projected series price, by the way, would be the Knicks around 250 in that neighborhood against the Cavaliers.
Higher than that.
Well,
I think it's got to be higher.
Would you lay a game and a half? Because you would fire on the series as well, along with being a fan. Would you lay a game? Would you lay 2.5 games against Cavaliers?
No. But there's no way that the Cavaliers are going into Madison Square Garden in a Game 7 and winning the series. So if the Cavs are going to do it, they're going to do it in 6, and that's not going to happen. The Knicks are just a better team than Cleveland. Bringing over James Harden, I'm not sure that was the best idea for Mobley. But again, the matchup against Cleveland is better. They've beaten them 2 out of 3 this year. They did lose 4 games to them last year. One of those games nobody played, and it was quite a disparity in terms of point differential at 60+. But that was then. This is now. They won't be able to defend the three-point shot, and we are just better. And I would lay 250. I'd lay 250 in a heartbeat. Okay. But once again, against Detroit, it's a no-go.
I think you're putting too much stock in the regular season with this team based on how Detroit has struggled. Duren, it's the second worst drop-off in playoff history. He averaged 20 a game in a regular season. He's averaging 10 a game in the playoffs. But the big thing, and you know this now that he's back in the good graces of the fans, it's a different offense with Cat, with point center, and how they've won 7 games in a row, and they're killing these teams.
Hey, listen, don't get me started on Duren. I mean, this guy played, 25 minutes the other night, and he was a minus 16.
Yeah.
He reminds me a little bit of Dwight Howard. He's this big, burly body, and his play is not in alignment with that. So, maybe Paul Reed tonight and maybe Duren. It's the same philosophy tonight as it was with Ayton, perhaps. I played Ayton under the other night, figuring that JJ would pull him if he doesn't do anything. 4 quick points, 2 rebounds, nothing. JJ pulls him. He only logs 21 minutes. So that may happen tonight with Duren. You never know.
How about this? Paul Reed has only played in 3 games of the series so far. He has scored in double digits in all 3 games. He's higher than 2-1 to score 10 points tonight, Paul.
It might be a play. He may get those minutes. Duren's going to be on a short leash, no doubt. I think Cleveland wraps it up tonight. I think they are just the better team. They have converted 122 of, I believe, I believe it is 220 inside the arc, and 114 of those have been inside the paint. So they're getting inside. They're doing the better work at the basket, and that's why I think they get the victory. And look, if we take Cleveland on, I'm not going to say he's the lone wolf, but it's Donovan Mitchell. He's torched us at times. He's against the Knicks over the last, I think, 6 games. He's 58-108. It's not a great percentage, except when you take into account that a large majority of those shots are from beyond the arc. So he's the guy, and he will be the guy tonight. He had an off game the other night, but I think he'll be better tonight.
Follow the money, Paulie and Mitch VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Paul Bovey, our guest on the Progressive Guest Line. Pro Sports Better, America's favorite landlord as well. You made an NFL futures bet. What'd you do with the Minnesota Vikings?
The Vikings went 9-8 last year. Now, they went 9-8 with Max Brosner, Carson Wentz, and J.J. McCarthy. How bad is that? They still have Brian Flores intact. They got a solid coach in O'Connell. The key is for them, if you remember last year, they went through a stretch when their offensive line was just gutted. And one of those guys, the left tackle, Darashaw, he had come off surgery. I think he only logged 10 games. They got to keep that offensive line intact. But they got Kyler Murray for nothing. Arizona's paying the whole contract except for $1 million or $2 million. And he can't be any worse, and he should be better. Only played 5 games last year, 86 rating. But if you go 2 back, he was 9th in the league quarterback rating, 3 back, 6th in the league quarterback rating. They got solid receivers. They just brought over Jennings. They still have, the dynamic duo over there catching balls. And they got T.J. Hawkinson. Well, T.J. had an injury a couple years ago, but he's reliable. And defensively, Van Ginkel is still there. Blake Cashman's still there. They got a couple division games to start off with. But the schedule, other than a stretch later in the season where they get 4 primetime games and 2 games with little rest, limited rest, I think they got a chance to compete in this division. And 8.5, they got 9 last year. Come on.
Yeah. We probably don't have enough time to get into cause computer-assisted wagering with horse racing, and you are a lifelong, been betting horses for longer than Paulie and I have been alive, pretty much. That's a compliment, not an insult. So based on that, do you know who you want to bet at the Preakness yet this weekend? I think we should have you in studio sometime to rail against the cause, by the way, Paul.
Yeah, I will, because I'm railing against the people that complain about the cause.
Okay.
It's pari-mutuel wagering. The line floats. If you can't deal with it, go play Keno or go play roulette. If 5 guys have 25, everybody gets paid at 35-1 or whatever it is. And people are making too much of this call thing, and I'll go toe-to-toe with anybody, all these horse racing experts.
Okay. You know what might be good? What does Massaro think about the cause? Does he hate them, or is he with you?
He whines about it when he loses. Chris is great, but Chris, I love him. I'll see him in Saratoga. We're going to have a lot of fun. But we may butt heads a little bit on this one.
Here's what we need to do. We're up against the clock. We need to get you in studio next time you're in Las Vegas with somebody who sees it differently than you, and have the two of you go at it live on the air.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Bring it on, baby.
There you go. There's Paul Bovey. Thanks, Paul. Good to talk to you again. Best of luck this weekend, okay?
Take care, guys.
You too. Up next, Paul's going to recap a lot of the betting action. Win some, lose some. An 18-3 run, sadly, came to an end.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Good to have you on board. Thanks for watching on YouTube TV, listening on Sirius XM channel 158, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, or any of our great affiliates across the country. Right now, we begin the hour by going out to the Progressive guest line. Longtime Las Vegas oddsmaker Jeff Sherman joins the program now. Hey, Jeff, thanks for the time today. How are you?
Doing well. How's it going, guys?
Not too bad. How is it looking for you, shaping up with what the leaderboard is looking like right now for the PGA? Pock Geiter's at 5 through 16. I don't know how he got out of 16 with a par, but he did. Then you have Smalley at 4 under, and then 4 or 5 guys at 3 under.
Yeah, really crowded leaderboard right now. A mix of big names and some outlandish names. Pock Geiter, he's won before, but 200 to 1 this week, and Alex Smalley was a little bit popular with us. He opened 300 to 1. We took some money at 300 and 250. He closed 150. So we have a little bit of liability on him. But you got Rahm and Scheffler and Cam Young all sitting at 2 under. So it's going to be an interesting weekend.
How about 2 guys tied for 7th? Min-Woo Lee and Si-Woo Kim.
Yeah, Min-Woo Lee was a popular one by the analytics this week. He saw his number dip from 80 to about 50 on Monday. And Si-Woo Kim's been a guy that I've been high on all season based on his stats. He's not the longest driver, but his approach, and you need your approach shots here big time on this course. And, he's gone up the leaderboard today to put himself in contention. So, he's one of my remaining few that are live at 60 to 1.
What do you make of, and we kicked this around a little bit earlier in the first hour, like it's very difficult right now to pinpoint like which guy to bet on to win this thing. It's such a big logjam at the top. I threw out Gotterup. Paulie and I are each on him before the tournament, but he had a great day today, and this guy is a proven winner as well.
Yeah, he's a guy that I was looking for based on what I'm looking at right now because, he got his first win in the Scottish Open, and it was a very solid field like this and tough conditions. And then he's backed that up with a couple wins early in the season this year. So he's really ascended quickly, and he's not afraid of the big stage. He's an aggressive type of player. And I don't think he's going to be afraid of this moment. So when you're looking at beyond the Rahm and Scheffler and Young, he's a guy I could definitely see contending come Sunday.
You had the best number by a mile on Block to make the cut at 11 to 1. He finished 5 over. The projected cut is 4 over. Were there any takers there and a good action on Block?
There really wasn't much interest in that one. And, I was at that price because we had a yes-no up. And if you saw a lot of places that had the one-way yes price, and they would offer 4 or 5 to 1.
Yeah.
But, when you're dealing with the yes-no, you can't we would have had a ton of sharp play if we would have had it much less on the no.
All right. Very good. So what would you make the number on Sunday and then also the series price if the Cavs finish off Detroit and game 1 they go to the Garden against the Knicks Sunday?
Yeah, I'd be looking at about 6.5 on New York, and the series price about 275. Come back plus 235 on Cleveland. So it's going to be up there, And right now with what we've seen the Knicks do and have all the time off, there's a lot of sentiment behind them, and a lot of people thinking that they should really come out of the East. So no matter who they play, even if they were to end up playing Detroit, they would be a favorite in that series on the road, even though Detroit has home court.
Mm-hmm. What do you think you would have the Knicks in the NBA Finals against OKC or the Spurs?
I'd have them about 450. Or I'd have OKC about 450 against New York in that one. If it was it's going to be up there with Oak City's power rating. I've got them about minus 275 against San Antonio. So you look at how large that one is. And I know there'd be a lot of San Antonio support in that series just because what we saw in the regular season, what they did was such a nice price, but it's just, you do the math and based on what the point spread projections come out to be, it's going to be some big numbers that you're going to see with Oak City.
Well, do you personally think the regular season would mean anything in a San Antonio-Oklahoma City series because San Antonio was awesome against them? Same thing would go for the Eastern Conference. If the Pistons can somehow survive the Cavaliers, they dominated the Knicks this regular season. Would either one of those mean anything to you?
No, I don't look much at that. I look at how they're going now and what are the circumstances, because we saw some games in the regular season where SGA didn't play, and there were some instances like that. Obviously Jalen Williams has been out, and he missed a lot of time during the regular season. We'll see when he's ready to come back. But you have to look at what they're doing now, what the point spreads are going to be, and just take that. And I know the public will bet based on what they saw in the regular season, but a lot of times it's a completely different style of play when you get to the postseason too, and you have to take that into account.
You're not supposed to give up and throw in the towel. But what are you going to do in the offseason if you're the Lakers and Denver and some of these teams, and the Rockets will be interesting because you were the first guy on this. You said years ago, get ready for OKC San Antonio in the conference finals for the next 5 to 10 years. Do you still feel that way or even stronger about it now that you see the development of Wemby and the supporting cast and the young guys around him?
Well, yeah, that's what you have to look at. And, the best thing that San Antonio did this year was not getting involved in the Giannis sweepstakes and keeping their young core that they have together and now letting this group grow. And they're just going to be the ones up there with Oak City from that standpoint. So when you look at these other teams, I mean, obviously Denver is aging with Jokic, and he's the only untouchable, and they're going to have to work around it, and they don't have much room to work with.
Yep.
And the Lakers are going to have to – I think it's in their best interest not to bring LeBron back and have that money to spend elsewhere to work around Luka. But it's obviously going to leave them on a shorter tier than the top two.
Where do you think he would end up if the Lakers were to do that?
I'm thinking Golden State. I think bringing Kerr back and them wanting to give a run for Curry still, they're refusing to give up on this window. I think that's the likely place of LeBron staying on the West Coast and probably going up to Golden State.
By the way, with Oklahoma City, with their picks that they have this year in the first round, I mean, this draft is so good, Jeff. They're going to get either a really good player at number 12, or there are rumors out there about trading up and getting that pick from the Clippers at number 5. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, I think that's what they should do is put these together and even include – they're going to have to start dumping some of these players and getting these guys on the rookie contracts that they have all these draft picks for and moving forward with that. So they might be able to include a player along with those picks and move up and get somebody else that can be, almost a franchise guy.
Well, I mean, A.J. Mitchell, let's be honest here. If he were to hit the open market this year, he'd get, $120 million from a team, and he'd probably go and average 25 points. There's no way they can keep a guy like him, is there?
No, I mean, they just signed him, to like a $4 million a year extension for a few years. And it's crazy because, he's a former Gaucho like myself. And when he was playing there, I didn't see this out of him at all playing in the Big West. So it's, his game has really translated better in the NBA than it did to me in college.
You personally have the Spurs at some gigantic numbers, do you not? Is that to win the West or to win the NBA Finals?
I have them both. I have 55 for the title and 30 for the West.
What would you do then if they make it and get by the Timberwolves and then they're facing Oklahoma City as a big dog there to come out? Let it ride?
Yeah, I'd hedge that up and lock up some just because I think of how Oak City and what we've seen over the few years and, with them being the favorite that they'll be, I'll weight it a certain way and see how that goes depending where the price settles, but I'll definitely maneuver a bit with the prices that I have.
Yeah. I don't have the Spurs at those numbers. I have 18 to come out of the West. I'll do the same. Would you just you don't get cute, right? Like you would not play an NBA Finals exacta of like Oklahoma City and New York as a hedge, would you?
No, I just end up working against the prices I have for the series price or a no on the title, things like that, and just put myself in that position.
Okay, the NFL schedule was released last night in its entirety. Jeff Sherman, our guest, longtime Las Vegas odds maker. You and I were going back and forth many, many weeks ago about a team to be on this week based on the schedule, and we agreed that it was the Detroit Lions. What'd you make when you had a chance to see how the schedule broke for them last night?
Well, I mean, we've known for a while about them having a soft schedule this season, and so I did bet them in the futures at 16-1. Just because I think over longevity that, they're going to put themselves in a good position. For week one, we opened them up as a 6.5-point favorite against the Saints. Took some sharp money on Detroit. It's up to 7 now. There's a lot of people that are high on the Saints. So I know the Sharps last season played the Saints in almost every game leading to the end of the season. So it wouldn't surprise me if, you see the books adjust and weight it down towards Saints spreads. That's how we opened up short of 7 in this one. But we did, take some sharp money to get it up to 7 right now.
Did you see sharp money coming in a bunch of the games that you posted last night?
We did. We took Jacksonville -7 against Cleveland to get to 7.5. Cincinnati -3 against Tampa Bay, so we're at 3.5 on Tampa. Pittsburgh -1.5 against Atlanta. Now we're at 2.5. Let's see, the Raiders -3 against Miami, so we're up to 3.5 on that. And the Vikings +1.5 against Green Bay, and we moved that one to pick.
What did you make Chargers at home against Arizona? And did you see any books out there that were maybe a little bit lower than your number on it?
Yeah, I mean, I had that one 10.5 myself. I thought it had to be on the north side of 10. When I was making these numbers with Ed, he had a 10, but we agreed to go 10.5. I convinced him to go higher on it. So we opened 10.5, but we saw 8.5 on the market out there when it first came up at some other places. So him and I laid some 8.5 on that, just thinking it had to be north of 10.
Very good. You can follow Jeff on X. He is at Golf Odds. Good catching up today, man. Thanks for the time. We appreciate that.
Anytime. Thanks, guys.
There you go. Longtime Las Vegas odds maker Jeff Sherman here on the Progressive Guest Line.
If you're looking for live streaming and replays from nearly any thoroughbred, harness, or greyhound track out there, check out RTN.TV, the racetrack television network. RTN has more HD content than any other streaming service, available on TVs, PCs, tablets, smartphones, Roku, Amazon Fire TV. Head to RTN.TV, enter code VEASAN. Get your first 5 days free. RTN.TV, code VEASAN.
Pot Geeter gave one back on 17, so he is now 4 under, along with Smalley, and now along with Maverick McNeely, also 4 under, and he is only through 10. Up next, we'll expand on the NBA playoffs. Don't look now, but they're running the offense through a player much like the Knicks have done with Cat. We'll explain next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Pretty good weekend for fights here as well, including Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano. Yeah, it's being made. Look, I mean, you're going to watch. We're going to watch. You can bet on this thing to make it even better. And we go out to the Progressive Guest Line to get more on this and other fights this weekend. As Dave Ross joins the program now, you hear him and watch him in the mornings on VSiN by the Books of Jensen Lewis at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Also does a great job on the podcast here called First Strike. Dave, good to talk to you, my man. How are you today?
I am great, boys. It's great to talk to you guys, and it's so weird, Mitch, to look at the fight card this weekend. Several different MMA type of options that you have out there for your betting perusal. And as you mentioned, to see Gina Carano and Ronda Rousey, sometimes I have to go, what year is this? Do I have gray hair, or is it really back in, say, 2015 when I looked a little bit different than the way I do now?
Yeah, I can't believe this. I mean, she hasn't fought in 10 years. The reason this fight is happening is because she was watching Tyson and Paul and then couldn't believe the response and how many people watched that. And she's a $6 favorite. She's minus 250 to submit Carano. And then Carano comes in with an even longer layoff, and she lost 100 pounds to get ready for this fight.
She looks great, Paulie. Both women, to be honest, look great as far as being in shape for this fight. Are they taking it seriously? I don't know. I get the feeling, guys, and I talked about this with Rob Moreno on First Strike this week. I think there's only one way to play this fight. I'm not going to lay the price point here with Ronda and or to get the submission or Gina to get a KO, because I think those are the obvious, depending on which side you like, to look at the method of victory here. But there's a lot of mutual respect for these women. And I just know that Ronda Rousey, back in her heyday, she had no respect for, say, somebody like Miesha Tate. She had very little respect for her opponents back then. And she really did look to inflict damage, whether it was with judo and arm bars, to get those ladies out of there. And I don't want to say that it might be like Mayweather, like we saw with Conor McGregor, but when you have a new promotion like this is, and you're trying to get eyeballs back on you, do you really want to go out there and submit somebody in 2 minutes, 3 minutes? I don't think so. I might see you carry somebody for a round and a half, and that would get me to an over on 1.5 in this total, because I don't think she really wants to embarrass Gina, because they're selling this guys as pioneers of women's MMA. And guess what? You don't have to sell that. That's a fact. They are. But as you mentioned, Paulie, we're talking about 10 years ago. We're talking about 15 years ago. So for them to be relevant in 2026, maybe Ronda carries this fight for 7.5 minutes. The only way I can play this, and I haven't done it yet, but once those totals are cemented out there and I can find the best number, I'm probably going to play the over 1.5 here out of respect for Ronda that she has for Gina Carano.
By the way, Paulie and I were in attendance July 5th, 2014, Mandalay Bay Event Center. Ronda Rousey was the co-main event. She defeated Alexa Davis in 16 seconds. You remember that, Paulie?
Oh, my God.
16 seconds, it was all over with.
Yeah.
Chris Weidman was on the main event as well. The co-main event, he beat Machida that night in a 5-round decision. Is Carano worth a stab at almost 5-1 to win, or no way?
I don't see it, Mitch. But again, we haven't seen these ladies in an octagon. We've seen Gina Carano in movies. We've seen Ronda Rousey in fake wrestling. So now to really, truly handicap it, there's too many unknowns for me to take a stab at the Gina side. Look, I wouldn't lay the number with Ronda Rousey. Okay, I just wouldn't do that because if Gina's got any shot, it is to knock her out, right? And we've seen Ronda her last 2 times in MMA. What happened? The head kick heard around the world in Melbourne that day against Holly Holm. And then we saw what happened in her last fight 10 years ago against Amanda Nunes. And she got knocked out in both of those instances. So that's her pitfall. That's her bugaboo here. But to me, I just think the over is if there is such a thing as a best play, that's the way I'd play it here, that Ronda carries this thing and then eventually looks to get her out of there. But respectfully, if there's a way to do that after 7.5 minutes, that's the only way I could play this fight.
Everyone wanted to see Cyborg against Carano, and then it happened, and it was absolute destruction. So that's one thing, knock against Carano here as well. Ngannou is 1,400 against Lins. He's minus 750 by knockout. How long will this thing go?
Probably not very long, Paulie. But again, Ngannou, since he left the UFC and, he goes to one promotion, that's going to save the promotion, or goes to Bellator, and this is going to be the big. And then none of that stuff, PFL, none of that stuff leaving the organization that is the UFC has done, I think, what Francis Ngannou thought that would do. Now, look, he made all the money boxing, so I give him full kudos for that. But now back in MMA, the only shot that Philippe Lins has is wrestling. That's it, right? So can he avoid the big right hand of Francis Ngannou? Probably not, right? If we're being honest, I don't see it happening here for Philippe Lins to take a shot on the dog. But do I want to lay 750 on the knockout? It's probably going to happen that way, Paulie. I'm not going to lay it here at that price point. It just takes one fluke thing to upset the apple cart, and your card is screwed for the night. So I'm not willing to do that on a KO prop. But again, if we're being honest, that's probably more than likely what happens. But Philippe Lins has got to shoot at the legs, hope for a takedown. That's the only way that he survives outside of what I think 5 minutes here in the first round here to get it to a second. But there's really no play at those price points for me on Ngannou, although that is clearly the correct side here.
Well, there's a lot of miles on the odometer here for Nate Diaz, but throughout his career, anytime that he is a decent-sized dog, I'm like, okay, that's the only way I would look. He's plus 170 against Mike Perry, who's laying a little bit more than $2 here. Do you want the dog here in Diaz, or how do you look at this fight?
No chance, Mitch. I love Nate Diaz. I've said this for years. The most, shall I say, interesting one-on-one interview I ever had was with Nate's brother, Nick. And I don't know that he actually saw that I was standing right there in front of him. These guys are so aloof. I don't know what's going through their head. And I know that normally it has nothing to do with fighting. In the face-off, with Nate Diaz and Platinum Mike Perry, Ariel Helwani was doing it. It was bizarre. They're sitting across from a table from each other, and you would have thought they were in different rooms. And the point is here, Mitch, Nate didn't know how many rounds this fight was going. He was talking about how, he was interested in getting free weed. I mean, the conversation was so abstract. I don't know what's going on in his mind. Here's what I do know. I don't know how long these guys want to be out there, either one of them. I would look to an underplay. To me, this has got Killer Be Killed written all over it. I don't know who's going to win. I think Mike Perry's probably going to get him out of there. But to me, this is a guy and two guys that I don't think want to get paid by the minute here and are looking to get out. Take the under in Platinum Mike Perry against Nate Diaz.
Anything else on that card? Is Dos Santos is a big dog, or anything you like on the UFC card?
I do like Arnold Allen in the main event here coming up at UFC Vegas 117. And I think when you're looking at a fight here that's aligned at 4.5 rounds, it doesn't seem like that there's a lot of potential for finishing here. But Melky Costa, if there is a finish, I think it would come on his side. And I don't think that's happening. Arnold Allen, I think, is the much better striker. And he might be the better grappler. And I think that's where people think Melky might have a chance to get him out of there. I don't see it at this price point. I've seen $1.20 this morning here at Circa. That's what I ended up playing, guys. I think it's a cheap price on Arnold Allen. If you can find it at $1.20, $1.25, that's the way I'm playing the main event here in Vegas, 117. And again, a small octagon here when you fight at Apex. I think that benefits Arnold Allen here. Again, the fight gets down to the ground. I think he's just fine either way, standing or on the ground. Arnold Allen is just better everywhere to me. Melky's on a heck of a run here, but I think it ends Saturday. Small price point, going to back the Englishman at $1.20.
All right, very good. Dave Ross, our guest. He's on the Progressive Guest Line, lifelong Cowboys fan as well. Are we spending too much time collectively talking about the schedule? Foregone conclusion again this year, in your opinion? The Cowboys are going to win the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, this is our year, Mitch. It's been our year since 95. Everybody knows that. You know that. I know that. That's why they're America's team. No, we spend way too much on the schedule. We kind of knew, obviously, the opponents didn't know where and when. I'm not a big fan of the international games. I don't like the fact that the Cowboys have to go and face the Ravens in week 3 over there in Brazil. I do think that somehow you have to figure that into the handicapping for the teams that have to travel abroad. And I don't know how it's a positive. Like maybe for the Jags because they play 2 in a row in London and they're kind of used to that. But short of that, guys, I kind of look at those teams and go, man, I'm going to lose home games for certain teams that have to play in a clear neutral in a different country. I don't like that. Look, I do like the Cowboys this year. I did lay a little bit at $1.55 at the over 8.5. It's a very tough schedule. But again, you guys know this better than most. I don't know how much stock we really put into last year when you look at the results and then you do the strength of schedule for this year, because I think teams look so different. Look, I'm really excited for the Cowboy defense. When's the last time we've been able to say that? Christian Parker coming over as the DC from Philadelphia. He's young. He's innovative. To go with Brian Schottenheimer, another young, innovative head coach. The offense is going to be just fine, barring injury. I think we all get that. Can Caleb Downs really transform that defense? I think it's more about Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams up front to actually stop the run this year. If that's the case, I clearly think this is a 9-10 win team here for the Cowboys. I really do like their chances this year to be an over-win team.
Follow Dave on X at DRoss Sports, podcast called First Strike with Rob Moreno as well. And mornings, VSiN by the book with Jensen Lewis, 7 a.m. Eastern time right here on VSiN. Thanks, Dave. Good luck tonight and this weekend. We appreciate it.
I can't believe we're betting on carnival fights, but we are, boys. Appreciate you guys. Best of luck to you as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, look, I mean, you're going to be watching, so why not have a little wager down? Huh? Plunk down on the action. Baseball is up next. We'll tell you which player has smacked 4 home runs off the pitcher he's facing tonight coming up.